Hi, I'm Susan Young, Mindful Coaching, and today we're in the second of a series of four, and we're focusing on being. And today I want to bring forward and talk further about the vagus nerve. It's so complex. I only know a little bit about it. I've been reading, watching videos on it, and talking to people who are more skilled than I am. So I'm going to bring forward just a few minutes more information about the vagus nerve, which we talked about before. So you might remember the vagus nerve. Vagus actually means wandering. So it's a nerve that wanders from it's a bundle of nerves that wanders through our body, and it starts at the top of the spinal cord and then comes through the neck. It coordinates and manages our breathing and our heart rate. It comes down, it's part of the bundle of nerves that comes into our digestive system. So it also manages a lot of the digestive processes. And it's connected to oxytocin receptors, which is fascinating. So new research is coming up all the time as they're trying to attend to what is this vagus nerve that we've known about before but haven't known how much it has to do with our mind-body stress response. So Stephen Porges, Porges, is one of the significant people who started talking about it and linking it up as the mind-body nexus. So what they've done is in some of the research, they've shown photos or videos of people suffering, and that stimulates the vagus nerve. They've shown things that bring people compassion, that stirs that up. That stimulates the vagus nerve. And now some of them are teasingly calling it the love nerve because of the oxytocin connection. So the more you feel compassion, both self and others, the stronger the vagus nerve responds, the stronger it's lit up. Another interesting thing they found in the research is that when people who have a strong vagus nerve connection, that they feel more connected generally with humanity, a sense of common humanity that you may remember Dr. Krista Neff talks about in Mindful Self-Compassion. The kind of last thing I want to talk about specifically is that it also tracks the central nervous system. So we talk a lot about the central nervous system. We're all familiar with the fight, flight, freeze, that there are three areas. And then new research is talking about the part of us, if we've experienced trauma, that might also move into fawning, where we need to kind of feel other people as better or different than we are. So by pulling it back inward, and stress is not either stressed or not stressed. If we look at the vagus nerve system, it's about a kind of a layering effect that lets us, that there's multiple states of stress. And they talk about a polyvagal ladder. So I'll finish with this part and then we'll have the kind of conversation. So they say that in the front of the body, so the vagus nerve starts at the top of the spinal cord here at the base of the neck, and then it begins to wrap itself around at the front of the body, or the ventral, is the 200 million year old system. So our ancestors back to 200 million years old had this vagus nerve at the front. And it's a state where we use to connect with others and co-regulate. So you may have heard of that co-regulation. When you're connected with another person, you can become more intimate with that person in a way that allows your ventral nervous system to connect with another. It gives us a way to socially engage. So it helps us interpret facial reactions. It helps us to feel present and safe. It helps us to feel joy and playfulness, are all things that allow the ventral vagal system to be stimulated in a positive way. What they have found is that people with who have less of a strength of the ventral system they might interpret a facial expression in a more negative manner, so that someone who might hold a neutral expression, someone who's got a positive, engaged ventral system, will see that as leaning more towards the positive, whereas someone who has less of an engaged ventral nervous system might interpret a neutral face as more negative. I found that fascinating, the way we connect with each other based on that. The second polyvagal ladder in the 3 states is the sympathetic nervous system, which we've talked about. And that's the one that gets us kind of, when we feel stress, the cortisol and the adrenaline, it makes us want to take flight, take action. It can contribute to chaos and tension. We can lock our muscles as a result of that. And the system that regulates the whole central nervous system, what we're aspiring to is calming that sympathetic activation. So what we want, as we know, is to pay attention when we feel activated, different than, say, if we've had a nice, long, vigorous walk. We might feel a sense of kind of alive and a lightness, but we don't want that to shift over to a sense of hyperness or tension. So, for example, I've been sharing with you that I'm using Mondays. This is my 5th Monday as a fast day, 5th or 6th. And sometimes I can get dysregulated physically from not eating. So I've added this, I did some more research. So I added this 3 glasses a day of broth, which calms down. So that slightly heightened feeling that where my system, sympathetic nervous system, gets activated, I wanted to calm that down. So if we have chronic stressors, we might get more activated. So we want to reduce the chronic stressors. The third in the stages of polyvagal nervous systems are the dorsal vagal. So that's at the back, goes all the way back the body. The research says that that's 500 million years old. So our ancestors had this part of the body before they had the other parts. So it's an ancient primal part of ourselves. However, the dorsal vagal can actually bring us into a sense of lethargy, a sense of despondency, and we can collapse or feel frozen if the dorsal vagal is stimulated. So we don't want the dorsal vagal stimulated. We want to pay attention. And if we feel like that, we want to reactivate the front of our body. And one of the most significant ways we can do that is by our breathing, which we know over and over we come back. And the vagus system helps to control and manage that. So we're going to pause for a few minutes and explore and hear questions. And then we're going to do a very kind of solid vagus nervous system calmer that you can use at night as well if you're having trouble sleeping or if you take a rest in the afternoon. Okay.